In this section, I've been practicing, well, a lot of stormy life occurred after that. And then about 8 years later, I encountered a particular form of Buddhism. And I've been practicing that Buddhism for about 7 years. I had a history of being fired from jobs because of a bad attitude or a bad temper. And those firings always left me feeling like a loser. But my spiritual practice gave me the courage, the hope, and confidence that I could change this karma, change myself. I was working at a hospital in the admissions office for 3 years at this point. And certain language I'll explain. I refer to my Buddhist practice at times as Terry's method, since Terry has introduced me to it, and also as the one essential phrase. And I refer to my spiritual community as Terry's group. Our newest shift supervisor often left the hospital for hours, sometimes not returning for the whole shift. Problems invariably arose that we needed his help on. None of our previous female supervisors had ever left like that, and it wasn't right. Although I approached my coworkers about this, no one else was willing to do anything. For months, we just did the grin and bear it routine. Then one night, the shift supervisor and I disagreed about something. He lost his temper and yelled at me to clock out. I felt a passionate fire ignite in my chest, but I said nothing and went to leave. Then he changed his mind and said I should stay. I told him I'd already clocked out, like he told me, and was leaving. He said that if I left, I was fired. I didn't believe he had the authority to fire me and went home. Instead of taking this lying down, like I always had, and giving in to fear, hopelessness, and victimhood, I decided to make this an opportunity to transform things at work for everyone's benefit. I set my intention for his happiness and the greatest happiness of the department, and determinedly prayed to appreciate my supervisor and the situation I found myself in. I called the next day and asked my department head to arrange a meeting between herself, the shift supervisor, his supervisor, and me. How anxiety-provoking! I was the little guy about to go barehanded into the lion's den. How could I possibly face my 3 superiors and come out of the department head's office a winner? My spirit to fight against authoritarianism emboldened me, a spirit I developed as one of 12 million lay believers excommunicated by a corrupt high priest of a Buddhist sect bent on controlling its membership for its own gain. I recognized the tendency for authoritarianism in my shift supervisor and knew exactly what I needed to do to surmount this problem. Using my Buddhist practice, I armed myself with courage and entered my department head's office to speak my truth. The 4 of us barely squeezed into that little office. I waited my turn to speak. Larry, the shift supervisor, began, "Kathy left work without my permission. She didn't follow my instructions, and that's what I call insubordination." "Don't you remember, Larry? You told me to clock out," I asked. "You lost your temper and actually yelled at me to clock out, so that's exactly what I did. Then you changed your mind and told me I should stay. But I wasn't on the clock anymore, and because of the way you treated me, I needed to go home and cool off rather than stay. I was just following your original instructions. I thought that was the best thing to do at the time." The department head then interjected, "Is that what happened, Larry? You told Kathy to clock out and go home?" "Well, yes, but it seems to me that Kathy did what she was told. Why did you tell her to clock out in the first place, Larry? That seems rather extreme." She was getting huffy with me. "You know that's not what happened, Larry." I looked at the department head. What happened was one of my patients was in a lot of pain, and they'd been sitting in the lobby for several hours waiting for a bed. I had called and asked Larry to talk with bed management about speeding up the process of getting my patient a bed, but Larry has this thing about calling bed management. He doesn't like to do it. Finally, I walked around to the ER registration area where Larry was sitting and asked him about it. He told me not to give him a hard time, and I asked him why he wouldn't just make the phone call. That's when he yelled at me to clock out. That's basically what happened. "Is this true, Larry?" my department head asked. "Well, yeah, basically," but the department head interjected again. "So after you told her to clock out, then what happened?" Larry seemed speechless, so I answered her question. "Well, when I was walking to the door to leave, Larry told me I should stay, that if I left I was fired. But he doesn't have the authority to fire me, does he?" That's what this is about. That and the fact that Larry has almost never He often leaves the hospital for hours at night, and the rest of us are left fending for ourselves. This has been a problem for quite a while now, and since we're all here discussing problems, it seems a good time to bring it up. I hope that's okay. I looked at the department head questioningly, and she nodded with pursed lips. Everyone got quiet. Larry was staring hard at the floor. After a long pause, the department head thanked me for coming in and said I could go back to work. I don't know what else was discussed, but those three sat in there for a long time before I saw them again. What I do know is the result. Larry got demoted and transferred to a much smaller hospital, and his supervisor, the woman who always seemed to shy away from taking responsibility for anything, decided then and there to take early retirement. I kept my job, and most importantly for everyone was our wonderful new shift supervisor, Tom, a short, friendly, warm dude with a humanistic approach. He treated everyone with respect and kindness, helped everyone in every way he could, and boosted morale off the charts. The situation transformed. I now had verifiable proof that Terry's method worked to make the impossible possible. Feeling victorious, I knew the most crucial part of this battle, the struggle to win over myself, had been won way before I entered my department head's office. When the shift supervisor lost his temper, I kept a hold of mine. That seemed nothing short of a major miracle.